The Adventures of Teddy the Tadpole in the Life Cycle of a Frog, written by Keri Gurganus. Once upon a time, on a lily pad far away, Mr. and Mrs. Frog waited patiently for their baby tadpole egg to hatch. As they waited, the love between them grew bigger and bigger and bigger. Finally, all the waiting was over, and the tadpole egg finally hatched. Mr. and Mrs. Frog were so excited because now their baby boy was born, and they named him Teddy. As Teddy got older, he finally had to learn how to swim. His mom was a stronger swimmer than his dad, so they decided that she should take Teddy into the water to teach Teddy just how a tadpole should swim. As they were swimming, Teddy was doing great. He had on his snorkel and floaty and began to think swimming was so easy. As they continued swimming, Teddy's mom decided to tell him that swimming was easy, but it's all of the predators such as birds, fish, and lizards that you need to be aware of. This can make swimming more difficult. Teddy looked at his mom and said, "Mom, I don't need to be aware of those. I am a frog, and frogs are not afraid of anything." But the mom looked at Teddy and said, "Oh, Teddy, you are just like your father." As the days went past, Teddy became a better and better swimmer. Finally, his mom and dad let him go swimming all by himself. As Teddy began to swim, he saw something hiding behind some seaweed. Teddy called out, "Who are you? And what are you doing back there?" Out from the seaweed popped a beautiful girl tadpole. Teddy introduced himself and said, "Hi, my name is Teddy. What is yours?" The other tadpole replied, "My name is Tina. Do you want to be my friend?" That is exactly what they became, the best of friends. Swimming together, playing tag together, and watching TV together. And best of all, caring about each other. A few weeks later, Teddy and Tina were swimming in their favorite area in the pond. Everything was going well. They were playing a game of tag together, and Teddy was it. All of a sudden, Teddy began to feel sick. He became dizzy, and he started to feel his body change. Teddy screamed out, "What's happening to me?" Both Tina and Teddy were in shock from the sight they saw. Popping out from Teddy's body were two bumps that were getting bigger and bigger. The bumps began to get bigger and bigger and even bigger until they finally turned into legs. Teddy was so embarrassed and so sad because now he thought he looked silly. He looked different from his friends. Teddy swam away from Tina as fast as he could as the tears slid down his slimy face. When Teddy finally got to his lily pad, his dad saw the sadness on Teddy's face. "What's wrong, son?" said his dad. "Why are you crying?" Teddy looked at his dad and said, "Dad, look, I have legs, and now I look so different from my friends." Teddy's dad looked at him with a small smile and said, "Son, it's part of growing up." Teddy looked at his dad and said, "I don't want to grow up. If I have to look like this, everyone is going to think I'm weird." A couple of days later, Teddy was swimming all alone in his favorite swimming spot in the pond. Still sulking over his new legs, Teddy heard a noise and he jumped behind a piece of seaweed, just in case it was someone who would want to make fun of him. As Teddy peeked through the seaweed, he seen his friend Tina. Tina looked right at Teddy's face and seen the tears falling from his eyes. And she said, "Teddy, why are you so sad?" Teddy tried to respond, but he had a frog in his throat and could barely get out the words. You wouldn't understand. Tina got closer and closer and closer to Teddy and whispered in his ear, Are you sure about that? Teddy looked down at the ground, and he was so shocked but happy to see that now his friend Tina also had legs. Teddy jumped up super high and shouted at the top of his lungs, You have legs too? Tina replied, Aren't they wonderful?
Not too shabby,
said a voice. But this voice was not Teddy or Tina or any other frog that they knew. Tina and Teddy turned around, and what they saw scared the spots right off of them. There was a huge frog-eating fish right behind them, who was hungry for some frog legs. Tina and Teddy yelled as loud as a frog could yell in fear. Teddy remembered what his mother had taught him. Fish were not friends, but instead, fish were predators. The fish opened his mouth, super wide, and the voice that came out was the scariest sound any frog had ever heard.
Dinner time! Come and get it!
Tina and Teddy swam up and down. They swam left and right. They swam in circles. They swam in squares. They swam over and under, but every move they made, the fish followed. As they swam faster and faster, the fish swam faster and faster. Teddy seen a small hole in a rock and told Tina, We need to get in there. The fish is too big to fit. So they darted and jolted and shimmied their way into the small opening. The fish was right on their tails. As the fish opened his mouth, Teddy and Tina swam safely into the hole, and the fish missed out on a delicious snack.
Aw, man, I'm too big to fit,
said the fish as he swam away looking for another delicious treat. While in their hiding place, Teddy finally realized that the legs he was once embarrassed of were now the legs that helped him swim faster and helped save his life. A few days later, Teddy was talking to his mom on their lily pad. He showed his mom his 2 new front legs. His mom was so excited for him because now her little baby boy is now becoming a frog. Teddy was happy that his mom was proud of him, but just like every other teenager, he couldn't let her know that, so he acted embarrassed and said, "Aw, Mom, please don't." Later that day, Teddy decided that he was going to show Tina that he now has all 4 legs. He swam to her lily pad and decided that he was going to give her a present as well. Teddy jumped up on her lily pad with a beautiful necklace that had the letter T on it, which stood for Teddy. As he approached, he noticed that Tina also had all 4 of her legs. He looked at Tina and said, "You look so beautiful." Tina looked right back at him and said, "Not too shabby yourself, Teddy." And as she said that, their front legs touched and they fell in froggy love. Time went by, and one morning, Teddy looked down and his tail was completely gone. He was so excited and shouted at the top of his froggy lungs, "I'm all grown up!" As the time went on and on, Teddy and Tina's love grew and grew. They got married at an elegant froggy wedding, and now Tina and Teddy are going to have their very own tadpole baby. Tina and Teddy could not wait for their little baby Tad to be born. And that is how the life cycle starts all over again. The end.